am the Youth Board President for Level the Playing Field. I first want to thank you here for being excited about soccer and coming to this event today. We are going to have a great time and learn a lot together. I'm honored to welcome you here today to our very first event, Tips for Excelling at Youth Soccer. Our first speaker is Dr. Amin Tice. He is a board member for Level the Playing Field, a professor of philosophy at Fresno State, and a youth soccer coach. He will be telling you a little bit more about what our nonprofit is all about. Please join me in welcoming Dr. Tice.
Thank you for coming. I appreciate the time. I appreciate you being here. I'm going to tell you a little bit today about the organization. I'm going to start with talking about the start of this organization really starts with us from passion with soccer. I played soccer since I was a young kid. I played soccer at college. You can see in the picture up there. I played soccer back in the home country in North Africa. And I played soccer and learned a lot from it. Playing soccer has taught me hard work. It taught me how to master skills, get better at what I do. Taught me to be confident because I learned all those skills. Taught me to be creative and find new ways of doing things. Taught me to be hardworking, but also hardworking within a context, within a team. Teamwork, how to deal with adversity, managing conflicts, relationships with your teammates and with your opponents, and also simply relieving stress, something I do until now every Sunday and go and play pickup soccer. It's the best way for me after a hard week of work and headaches to actually be able to just relieve the stress. Now, I pass that buck to my kids. I have two boys. They both play soccer. Mateen plays competitive soccer at Crossfire currently, and Cam is a player in rec soccer. So I'm going to talk about this dynamic of rec and competitive soccer in a second, because it is key to what this organization is doing. So this is a little bit perhaps oversimplifying certain things, but for people who don't have the background, this is useful. Youth soccer realities that I learned as I got involved with my kids being in soccer and also as somebody who coached. Recreational soccer is the first element I want you to be aware of. Recreational soccer, this is, again, a recreational activity. This is fun. This is about participation. It's great for physical activity. It happens within school context, within neighborhood context, and there are elements there that we need to be aware of. It's volunteer coaching. People, just this week at my kids' schools, they're asking for volunteer coaches for their teams that they're going to start the fall season. And so that's an element that's important. The other element is this is beginner skill level. Again, it's fun. It's about participating, having fun with your friends. It's also a beginner understanding of the game. That is, you play without really any depth in understanding the game. Some kids do, but a lot of kids don't. But it's fine. This is great, and this is really what sports should be all about. Now, there is, however, also competitive soccer. Competitive soccer, we're moving to a higher direction. We have higher skill levels. There are some kids that might play rec, but stand out. The skill level is higher. And so what happens now is people who get into competitive soccer, they get to play strong competition. The level is higher, the speed of the game is higher, the tactical understanding of the game is higher. And then now you're going to have generally, not always, higher level and paid coaches, people who actually do this as their job. They put a lot more commitment to it. They advance in their understanding of the game. They get licenses. And so what they do is help these kids get to the next level. What comes with this usually is a year-long commitment to being in a team, okay? A lot of people call this travel soccer. Travel soccer because there's an element in it that you actually now start traveling, playing in different places, playing different teams in different cities, usually around the area. Sometimes for tournaments, we might end up being in San Francisco or in LA. And so there is a lot more commitment that comes with this. And with this commitment and with this challenge, this change from recreational soccer to competitive soccer, what comes with it is high cost. Okay, as you could imagine, from all these elements that I just mentioned. Now, competitive soccer with young athletes that are talented, that get to that level where they can play competitive soccer, we have a little bit of a problem here with the notion of high cost. Because if you're talented, if you have the ability to play soccer at a higher level, you also have an opportunity to grow. You have an opportunity to play perhaps college, perhaps get a scholarship and play college. Perhaps when we're going to talk with Coach Ramirez about this a little bit, some kids might be able to also play professional. Why not? And so, but that cannot happen unless you play competitive soccer generally, because you have to get all those elements I talked about, the great coaching, the competitive element, playing in difficult situations and learning the game tactically and physically and technically at a higher level. Okay, now, this is a quote from our website. The realities of competitive soccer in the Fresno area and throughout the nation dictate that the success of young soccer players and their development into seasoned athletes is tied to more than just ability and hard work. Competitive soccer costs a lot between registration fees, equipment, and travel expenses. Many highly talented soccer players with promising athletic futures are left behind because of financial limitations. And this is not only in the Valley, this is throughout the nation. If you can afford for your kids to play competitive soccer, they play competitive soccer. And if they don't, you have to find another avenue, and it's usually difficult. And so what you're going to have here then, a number of kids that actually might be more talented than the kids that play out there in competitive soccer, but unfortunately cannot play competitive soccer. If we look at the costs, this is an average about $1,800 is about the annual cost to play year-long competitive youth soccer in the Central Valley within a well-established club. When I say a well-established club, I mean a club, again, that has a curriculum, that has a structure that works well, that coaches are, ready to coach. And so that leads to, again, a rather heavy burden for people who cannot afford it. Especially that we know that in the Central Valley, about 36.5% of kids in the Central Valley live at or below poverty level. Okay, it's one of the lowest in the whole country. And so what we end up with then is, well, where are we going to find the funds for these kids to play? Where is the money, where does it come from? Well, family funds, again, people who can afford it, they put money from their own funds into the growth of their kids. Those who can't perhaps can find private donors, friends, family members, and so on, that can actually help their kids. A lot of people do team fundraising. So we'll have a bake sale or a car wash or some kind of event to help offset the cost. And some of these clubs, especially the big ones, might have scholarships, okay, to help some kids. Now, with all these elements I talked about here, for people who cannot afford to pay, there are huge limitations in all this. I'm not going to spend a lot of time talking about those limitations, but while these things are great in terms of helping, they still fall short for a lot of people. And so, level the playing field then comes to the picture. What we're trying to do with level the playing field is this, and I'm going to quote again from our website. Level the Playing Field is a nonprofit organization dedicated to helping some of those talented young soccer players to achieve their potential by raising funds and providing grants that bridge that financial gap, helping pay for some of the fees and equipment. In addition to fundraising, our youth board consists of youth soccer players and fans, where we provide training in leadership skills, fundraising, education, and advocacy in clean air, nutrition, and parks for all. Now, the nonprofit organization is trying to help close those gaps as much as possible in an organized way, in an institutional way that works a lot more than, again, doing it on a private basis. For this, we put at the center our youth board. We want our kids and those who are involved and those who will join to actually be aware that there is a situation that they can actually help remedy in some way or another. And so in this board, we have a youth board consists of athletes and fans ages 9 to 17 who are interested in furthering the mission of the organization. Members of the youth board must understand from our training that scholarships may be awarded to players of a competing team. We support each other and practice good sportsmanship both on and off the field, realizing that the goal is to help kids that need help so they can actually achieve what they can achieve because of their potential. The youth board is at the center of it, but we also have, obviously, what we call the fans, the board, and the committees that actually work to make sure that everything is done. Our committees and advisory board consists of parents, community leaders, coaches, and fans of soccer who are interested in furthering the mission of level the playing field. Members of the boards and committee must adhere to our strict ethical guidelines and disclose any conflict of interest. This is important to us too. So we do this in a way that is actually clear, clean, and actually helpful and works for the community, because that is the ultimate goal. We're going to then provide scholarships. We're going to have applications for people to apply. Our scholarship programs will begin May 2020. So next season, as the next season starts. So this first year, what we're trying to do is raise as much money as possible so that we can actually have applications. You can check back for applications and eligibility requirements around January 2020. So if you have people you know, or if you want to help in this, this is the time frame as of now. Okay. Now, how to help? You may ask. There are a lot of avenues to help. One, you can donate, and every small donation matters, right? You can go to our website, www.leveltheplayingfieldfresno.com. You can also help us find donors and sponsors. You have perhaps friends that are, business leaders or business owners or friends who want to help in some way or another. Please guide them towards our website or have them contact us so maybe we can actually work together and help these kids. And number 3 would be to volunteer to serve on our boards and committees. Everybody's welcome to come and participate in whatever way they can to volunteer their time and help the organization grow. Now, the last thing I'm going to say here before I let our speakers do a great job today giving you some information, I'm going to say thank you to all our volunteers, board members, committee members, and our presenters today, because this might seem not it's not a big deal, but we actually work hard to put this together, and the people who are here actually are volunteering their time, trying to participate in helping. So really, we appreciate every single person that actually does something for this organization. One thing I want to make you aware of is our email list. If you sign up for our email list, you can go to our website, and then at the website, the first thing you're going to see a pop-up that says sign up for the email list. That would help you kind of continue getting information about what we do, the events we have, and so on. And we have now, some of you already did this, we have an anonymous survey in the back. We have a raffle to get some really nice things that have soccer related. So if you fill out one of those surveys, we're gonna at the end have some prizes for everybody. So thank you again. I appreciate it. I will let our presenters now give us very important information on various aspects of soccer and youth soccer particularly. So I'm going to give this back to Mateen.
Our next speaker is Mrs. Taryn Buchanan, a local registered dietitian and owner of Integrative Nutrition Solutions. She has been practicing nutrition counseling for the past 8 years, and her background is a long-term and acute care nutrition. She's a firm believer in using food as medicine. We are also fortunate that Mrs. Buchanan is one of our health advisors who helped us create our Health Matters snack bar because we love snacks, and she is going to teach us more about it. Eat healthy so we can be great athletes. Please join me in welcoming Mrs. Buchanan.
So first, we're going to talk about, for game day nutrition, focusing on carbs for energy. So you want to whole grain breads, crackers, cereal, pasta, potatoes for lasting energy. One of the things I want to say about in terms of carbohydrates for day of nutrition is that sometimes if you have, even though whole grains are going to be best for sustaining energy, depending on your child's digestion, it may cause, the high fiber may cause an upset stomach. So if you find that your kid starts getting an upset stomach during games or practice, they feel like they have to go to the bathroom, you might want to consider something more on the edge of white bread, because that'll be a quick energy source that'll be easy to digest and shouldn't cause any GI distress. But that's up to your kid, that's up to their digestion. Some of them can handle something like whole wheat toast just perfectly fine, and that's a great way of sustained energy. Save the sports drinks for energy boost during endurance sports or training lasting more than an hour. So it's not necessary for kids to have Gatorade at every practice and at every game if the game is only going to be roughly an hour or under an hour. However, Fresno summertime is intense. If they're practicing now, they're practicing in this heat, then consider breaking your sports drinks into two. So you get your bottle of Gatorade and you split it into 2 different water bottles and dilute it with water. That way that you can still enjoy and get the benefits of the sugar that's in there. The electrolytes are in there, but you don't need that much sugar. They don't need that much sugar for just playing for an hour. So that way you're going to save money, you're going to extend your Gatorade a little bit longer, but being able to use what they'll actually need. So an hour is a good reference point for how much of the sports drinks you should have. Spreading out the protein foods. So active bodies need protein to build and repair muscles. You want to spread the protein throughout the day. So there's no need to have a huge influx of protein at one particular meal. You want to spread it throughout the day, and that can be in plant-based form if you'd like, or meats and things like that, eggs as well. Protein, it takes longer for your body to break down, so that's going to be a slower, more sustained energy source, rather than the carbohydrates are going to be a little bit quicker for your body to break down. You want to use caution with fatty foods because that slows the digestion. So in the morning, for instance, if you're cooking something for your kids, you want to be careful of the amount of fat that you're putting in, whether it's oils, cheese, butter, things like that, because that could upset their stomach once they're actually playing. So fat is fantastic. We need fat, but pay attention to that before they work out so that it doesn't slow down their digestion, and that might upset their stomach while they're playing. So fats are necessary, but maybe wait until you see how your child digests them. Maybe wait till after they're playing to introduce the fats. Flow with fluid. So good hydration should start the day before the game. So not pounding a bunch of water the night before or the morning of or on the way to the soccer game. You want to make sure that your child is getting enough water the day before the game. Especially the 2 to 3 hours prior to the game. So I know soccer games are early, and how many of you are waking up 2 to 3 hours before your game? Yeah, that's what I thought. So try and do the best that you can with trying to drink as much water from the second you guys get up. Because with the heat in Fresno, the energy level that you guys are putting out there on the field, you need to stay hydrated. So water should be enough. You don't have to have Gatorade before. You want to save that for something more during the game and after your Gatorade water combination. But making sure that you're drinking enough water the day before as well as the morning of to the best of your ability. Like I said, water should be enough, but if you are a heavy sweater or if it's really hot, that's where the Gatorade can come in and help to fill up those electrolytes. Timing is really important though. So again, I know most of you do not wake up 2 to 3 hours before games. Soccer games can be really early in the morning, but ideally 2 to 3 hours, eating something 2 to 3 hours before the game gives you enough time to digest a regular meal, such as breakfast, to where it's not going to upset them when they're on the playing field. if you can't get your kid to wake up 2 to 3 hours before a game, which I completely understand, consider something like more of a snack for before, because it's going to take them a long time to digest that. You don't want the main digestion happening while they're on the field in the middle of the game, because that's going to cause other issues. You don't want them to be focusing on having stomach cramps and things like that when they're playing. We just want to get maybe something like a hearty snack before, and that's okay. That will be enough nutrition, roughly 30 minutes to an hour before the game, to be able to provide them with enough sustained energy to make it through the game. So 30 minutes if you're going to do a snack, 30 minutes to an hour in advance if you're going to do a snack, 2 to 3 hours if you're going to cook them a meal for breakfast. Topping it off with milk. So in addition to water, fat-free, low-fat, or I put in there Ripple milk, and I'll describe a little bit of that, are ways to help include their fluid needs, but it's really important because at this age, calcium is going to be super important. Obviously, we know that helps with bone growth. You guys are putting a lot of energy into your body, and you're going to need your bones to continue. You're growing right now, and you're putting a lot of stress on your body. So making sure that your kids are getting enough calcium in their diet is going to be important for this stage. So it doesn't have to come just from milk. There's vegetables that have calcium in them, and then I put Ripple milk. So Ripple milk is it's a plant-based protein, and it's really high in protein and really high in calcium. You can find it at Save Mart, you can find it at Sprouts and a couple other places. But so for those who don't tolerate dairy, that would be a good option for them if your kid is lactose intolerant. It'll give them, like I said, the protein that they need, something that a lot of kids favor and ends up working out well is after working out, after the game, getting something like chocolate milk in. It sounds crazy because all you think is the amount of sugar that they have in it, but it's actually, they need to replenish what they just burned out on the field, as well as getting calcium and protein in a quick way that sometimes they're not ready to eat right after they play. Sometimes their bodies need time to kind of calm down and digest before they're ready to sit for a meal. So chocolate milk is actually a really good option. You want to have them consume something like that 30 minutes after, within the window of 30 minutes after the game. That'll help to give them the protein they need for their muscles, replenishing some sugar, and it's going to give them the calcium as well that they continue to need. So the Ripple brand comes in chocolate milk version as well, so it's just something for those who are lactose intolerant. Also, it's going to provide potassium in there, which, as you know, can help to prevent some of the muscle cramping and replenish more of the electrolytes for your kids. So on the back side of the handout, it says sampled game day nutrition plan. So gather with your family before a game, but again, it says 3 hours before the event. Sometimes I know that you guys have multiple games if you're in a tournament, so try and think about that when you're fueling for the next game. So I know in the morning it might be hard, so that's what we talk about. Maybe the morning ends up being a 30-minute before snack that gets you going, and then later on when you have a tournament and you're going to play multiple games, think about that 3-hour window. That's going to be the appropriate time for you to digest your food and have the energy ready to go for your next game. And there's options for there. It says serve sliced or lightly grilled potatoes paired with scrambled eggs, fruit, berries, maybe some orange juice or fat-free milk. Again, that's going to be for some of the calcium and potassium. Don't light load or skip lunch. So many student athletes compete after school by making lunch an essential fuel source. So this can be more so, I guess in elementary, but especially in high school, you see kids that are skipping meals and hanging out with their friends during lunch and not paying attention, and then they have to go to practice afterwards. So making sure that you're not skipping lunch, because again, that 3-hour window is important. You don't realize that you're gonna need that energy by 3 p.m., 4 p.m., and if you do your math before, that's right about lunchtime that you need to be getting those nutrients in. So don't, try not to skip any meals. It's going to be important. During the game or practice, hydration, super important. So you guys need to be drinking your waters before, while you're in class or on your breaks, whatever you can do if you have practice after school. If you're going to be on a Saturday, just try and keep drinking as soon as you wake up before and on your way to the game or practice. Dehydration that exceeds 2% of the body weight loss harms exercise performance. So you're going to cramp. You're not going to have the sustained energy to be able to play at the level that you want. You're going to be dehydrated. Hydration is one of the most important things for you guys to avoid, especially right now during this heat wave that we're having. Every time you sweat, you're going to lose some of your electrolytes. So making sure that you're having things, even something like half a banana, will add some potassium back in. It could be a good little snack to have in the middle of the game. It's also quick sugar to be able to have. You don't need a whole banana, but even just something to take a couple bites on during the game to make sure that you're getting your electrolytes in. After practice or after a game, you want to make sure that you're going to get some type of nutrition in within 30 minutes afterwards. So like I said, that chocolate milk, it's a quick thing. You can already have it in your cooler ready to go. Then you guys go home, you take your showers, family kind of recuperates, and then you guys go out to eat or do whatever it is that works out best for your family. But the 30-minute window is important because that's where you need to introduce the protein. So their muscles are going to be starting the repairing process at that time. If you can get the protein in, that's good. Then in the next 1 to 3 hours is when you can get a meal in. Obviously, I'm going to say you're going to want to shoot for a healthier meal, but at least if you're getting in the nutrients during that 30-minute window where they're getting the protein and they're getting those sugars back to replenish what they just used, then if you end up having something like pizza or burgers or something like that, at least you know that they had what they need, the building blocks, the starting and the building blocks to help them replenish their muscles and their glycogen stores. A smoothie or even something like low-fat yogurt afterwards could work as well. You're kind of seeing the theme of something with protein and sugar. So by sugar, carbohydrates break down to sugars. So that's the best for afterwards and getting that nutrition in. Post-game family dinner. So, we want to be able to make sure that, say, like I said, you end up, team wants to go out to pizza afterwards, totally fine. But think about what you're going to have for dinner. You want to make sure that you're replenishing your kids with what they need. So they need those proteins, they need those whole grains, those vegetables, fruits, because you're focusing on replenishing what they use that day. And if you want to keep them in their best nutritional way, I don't know, then you want to make sure that you're going to be providing them what they need moving forward. You want to make sure for digestion, the fiber is going to be important. That's when we can reintroduce all those whole grains and stuff. But like I said, before a game, that might be too much for their digestion. It's okay to give them, a piece of toast for white bread or a bagel or something like that, because we want to make sure that we're not going to do anything that's going to upset their stomach. You can do anything from, whole grain cereals, yogurts, fresh or canned fruits. Afterwards, again, that's where you're going to get some of the sugar replenishing that you need. Same thing as if you're going to be using Gatorade for them. So all in all, 30 minutes before a snack or 2 to 3 hours before of a meal. Make sure it's not too heavy on the fat so it doesn't upset their stomach. Make sure for the carbohydrates that it's something that they can use, that quick energy that they're going to need. They're also, during the game or practice, you want to make sure that they're staying hydrated. That's going to be really important. So make sure you're staying up while you're on the sidelines or while you're on a break. You need to be drinking, not just hanging out and talking with your friends and watching the game. Make sure that you're refueling as you can. And then afterwards, you have a 30-minute window. Let's get that chocolate milk in or something quick like that to be able to consume. And then 1 to 3 hours afterwards for an actual meal. So that's my presentation today. I'll be here later for questions to be able to answer any specific things. But thank you for your time.
Our third speaker is Dr. Jason Gray, who is the owner of PhysioMotion Physical Therapy, Inc. and is a physical therapist. He also played soccer at Fresno State and coached for many years. Currently, He is the head of sports science for the Fresno FC Foxes, where he closely works with the head coach, technical team, and rest of the medical team. Physiomotion provides skilled physical therapy for the players throughout the season. Dr. Gray has a passion for soccer, and his mission is to lower the incidence of athletic injuries in our valley. I know Dr. Gray because he was my physical therapist when I was having back pain. He taught me so much about stretching to heal and prevent injuries. Please join me in welcoming Dr. Gray.
Good morning. As Mateen stated, I'm Dr. Jason Gray, physical therapist here in town, and put together a nice seminar for you all today. I'm excited to share with you. In from the Fresno Foxes, Jesse Beltran is in the back. Hello, Jesse. The team has provided a wonderful raffle, so you guys have a look at that and let's make some money for this organization. I don't usually use a mic, but we're doing it for the camera, so if it gets too close, can't see my face, I apologize. But today's topic is I want to talk to you about physical therapy and our new Adeptus program. So we're going to get right into it. So what is physical therapy? There's some nice pictures there of me working with my patients and my son on the right, who was at that time playing for Alliance. Sorry, Crossfire guys. But we are experts in human movement. We examine, we diagnose movement impairments, and we treat individuals with conditions that limit their ability to move and perform functional activities. We work to restore, maintain, and promote overall wellness, fitness, health, and get our players back to playing. But the benefits of physical therapy: we increase, maintain muscle strength, balance, and flexibility. We restore normal movement for standing, walking, running, improve coordination, decrease pain, reduce swelling, inflammation of joints, promote health and wellness, wound healing, and for those of you who are here today, we return patients to a prior level of function and mobility and activity, or your sports, your soccer. Everybody can benefit from physical therapy. Our population is aging. Our lifespan is longer than it was in the past, and people are not necessarily taking care of their bodies or of their physical or nutritional needs adequately, as we heard wonderfully from Mrs. Buchanan. Nutrition is absolutely critical for athletes as well. Players expect to have a high quality level of function. Our young athletes are playing year round, especially if they're competitive. And the role of physical therapy in general is growing in society. A little bit about me. I played Fresno State soccer from '89 to '92. Got to play with my brother Jeff, who went on to play professionally for Odense Boat Club. And as you can read, I did well in the classroom, was academic All-American, Far West, so on and so forth. I captained the team my senior year. So I loved the game. I played here at Fresno State and had awesome hair. Awesome hair, right? So this is kind of fun to look back. Then I chopped it off, had even more awesome hair. Where'd the mullet go? I heard it's coming back, but I'm not sure. I see some green hair and colored hair. I like it, but hair in the back, where did it go? Oops. So there's my brother and I. So it was kind of fun. We were called the Gray Brothers. He was my inspiration. He was a defender. I played in the middle, defensive middle. And we got to play together 2 years. There he is in the background. So just some fun pictures of, that was actually my birthday. You can see the banner in the back, Happy birthday, Jason. So kind of fun. That was my game face. He didn't get the ball. Game face. So I played the game. I love the game, and I'm still involved in the game. So a lot of fun memories. So that right there, I got a yellow card. Can you believe that? I should have got a red card, but I knew the ref, and he said, I would have given you a red card, but I'm going to give you yellow. But that was the goalkeeper, Brad Friedel. He ended up being the national team goalkeeper for the United States after college. So super fun, a lot of good memories. So the intention was to go play pro, but I blew out my knee, so I got injured. And so the club that I was going to play for or try out at the time was Leicester. And I don't know if you heard about them a couple years ago. They actually won the EPL against all odds. So it was pretty cool. Got my bachelor's degree, exercise science. I recovered from my injury and started to play in the professional, well, the pre-professional league, which was about the level of the Fuego at that time. And then I blew out my other knee. Then I got into physical therapy school, but I didn't get in my first time. So I was like, what? I'm Jason Gray. I played at Fresno State. Why not get what? So didn't get in the first time. Got in the second time, and then I had another injury. Met my wife, which was the best thing in my life. And then I had a screw removed, but not from my head, from my knee. And then finished with my master's degree in 1999. There's my lovely wife, mother of my children. And there's my kids. And the story goes on, another surgery. I opened my business in Clovis called Physio Motion, and then another surgery. Moved my business to Fresno. Another surgery, 9 total surgeries on the knees. You'd think that, why? And then I had my wrist reconstructed. So it's because the good Lord knows that I need experience as a therapist to help all of you, because I've been there, done that, right? So this is the picture of the business, Physio Motion. It's at Granite Park, so Cedar and Ashland. And we've been in business for about 15 years, about 9 years at Granite Park. And our mission is to provide the best physical therapy care in the valley. You know, we provide a lot of services, whether it be orthopedics, pre and post surgical rehabilitation, sports team training, a new program that we launched this year called Adeptus, which means athletic development, enhancing performance, and training unique skills, which we'll lead into in just a little bit. We do interval training, performance examinations, which is a critical part of the Adeptus program, functional movement screens. I do custom orthotics. If you've got flat feet and your feet are hurting, I can help you with that as well. We have massage in-house. And one of the most important things to understand is we, as a physical therapist, have direct access. So you don't have to necessarily go to your physician to see us first. Like if you were going to have an injury, call us. We can get you assessed right away. So the business and my passion for soccer and connections with soccer has really been great. It's allowed us to work with a lot of people. Initially, the Fuego, we were with the team about 4 years, providing physical therapy, the athletic training, and sports conditioning and performance. I added that for you, Coach. You're welcome. So the Fuego and the Freeze and the universities in town, whether it be City College or a Clovis community. Some of our patients and players went on to play pro. Beach soccer over here. Mr. Feld played on the beach professionally for the United States national team, and some of the Fuego guys training. City College, you can see the banner in the back. Don't have one with you yet, Coach. We'll have to fix that. And then a little bit longer beard. But when we actually had a circus, the Ringling Brothers were in town, and they called, and we got to work with them too. Pretty cool working with the guy that shoots out of the cannon, you know. What do you think hurt on him? His back. Go figure, right? So, you know, with all those injuries, I might not be playing as much, but there is a life after soccer. I don't know if anyone has ever heard of this sport. It's called floorball. It's like street hockey. It's awesome. So you can see that it's really fun. Won the championship. Oh, and yeah, there's life after soccer, but kind of fun. So that's my dad. And after all these years, guess who came into town? Leicester City. And so we went down to LA, got to watch the game, and it was just super cool, you know, 25, 30 years later with my dad. He's been a fan ever since. And so he was super jazzed that they won a couple years ago. But having worked with the Fuego, we got to transition and have an opportunity to work with the Foxes. And so that's the general manager, Frank Yallop, and I shaking on our agreement last year, which then we're working with them again this year. So some pictures of the Adeptus and Physio Motion at Chachansey. It's just been a real honor, and it's been great to work with the team and get them healthy, get them back on the field when they have some injuries and such. And if you haven't gone to a game, talk to Jesse. we got packages that we can work with, get you at a game to experience the professional soccer in town. It's just fantastic. And they're doing great. They're in third place still, or are we tied for second? Tied for second right now. And the, was it about fifth in the nation? Super score? Yeah, in the conference. So really great. So get out to a game. So you come full circle. I was going to go try out for Leicester, whose mascot was a fox, right? And Fresno foxes. So I find that really kind of a blessing and it's ironic. But so getting to the Adeptus program, again, we talked about it's athletic development, enhancing performance, training unique skills. It's a 3-tiered system. But why? So some research over the last 30 years, soccer has become one of the most popular sports in the world. And there are 240 million people playing, right? So there's a lot of people playing soccer, recreationally, competitively, professional, so on and so forth. But that comes with a lot of injuries, as you heard from my own experiences. I mean, 175,000 ACL reconstructions performed annually at a lot of cost. So it's really staggering. And when I did my doctorate, I looked at the female athletic population is more at risk, and it's something that we need to mitigate or remedy. So we, as experts, we know that there's a lot of injuries, so they want to get to the bottom of it. Why? So we don't know exactly the mechanism. We have a pretty good idea, but there's two major ways that you're going to hurt your ACL. It's a direct contact and or non-contact. So the direct contact, when you're going into a tackle and someone just tackles you and your knee gets injured. The non-contact is when you plant, turn, decelerate, change direction potentially. So those two mechanisms. So it's super important as a healthcare practitioners, we want to identify what are the risk factors for the ACL injuries in the athletes. And it has, it's prompted a lot of research. So they know we want to establish, what are the predictors of injury? Is it something that you were born with, your body type, your structure, female, male, so on and so forth. So what are the predictors of injury? And then we want to, have some prevention strategies. So to date, many of the prevention strategies have focused on, the benefit of lower extremity kinematics, neuromuscular proprioceptive training, which is basically training properly. And the results of getting on a particular program have been very, very promising. And what the research and in my experience have determined that the highest risk of injury to the ACL, especially in the female athlete, is that cusp of between the ages of 14 and 18. Think about it as they're going from JV to varsity or recreation all the way up to high school, and now they're trying to play at a higher level than their bodies are potentially capable of doing with that peak incidence right at that 16 years of age. So it's super important to be proactive, to identify what your risk factors are, which might predispose you to an injury, and then initiate a prevention program as soon as possible, even as early as the age 8. So what do we do at PhysioMotion and physical therapists in general, and specifically more through the Adeptus program? What do we do to identify risks? Well, we have a performance examination, which we look at some biometric data, and that could be heart rate and your respiratory rate, your weight, percent body fat, so on and so forth. Musculoskeletal examinations, functional movement screens, and then power and strength assessment. And so one of the tools that we use is the functional movement system. It's a test of 7 different, it's a series of 7 tests, and from that we extrapolate data which identifies core weaknesses or flexibility strength weaknesses. And then the musculoskeletal exam, we look at how are you moving? What is your mobility? What in your body is not moving well? So flexibility assessment. And then we compile it, and this is what I put together specifically for the team so that we can analyze each individual player and put a specific program together to help them perform at their best. So it's a color-coded scheme. Red is not good, stop, let's do something about it. Yellow is kind of cautionary, and green is within normal limits. And so it's a really a good tool for us as clinicians to then develop the program for each player. So what do we do to decrease the risks? We utilize that information from the performance examination, and we design a sport-specific Adeptus program, whether it be individual, small group, or team training. And so again, athletic development, it's enhancing performance, training unique skills. It's 3 tiers. We've broken it down into 3 aspects, kind of like a pyramid. The first aspect, the base of the pyramid, is development. And as it reads from the website as well, focusing on competency and functional movement patterns. And the development stage addresses the limiting factors to unlocking your performance potential. And simply, it's movement and mobility. And that's where we address, if you can't move, you need to move. So those of you that play soccer in here, raise your hand. Or have played soccer, parents. How would you like to play, you can put your hands down, soccer with tight blue jeans on? Anyone? You're all looking at me like deer in headlights. No, of course not, right? Could you play with tight blue jeans on, though? Could you? Not very well, and rip, right? Ugh. So that's like our tissues. And so if your tissues, your muscles, even your skin are not flexible, not moving well, it's like tight blue jeans, and that's where we can have strains. You pull a muscle because you're not able to move. So we put together some pictures and specific programs addressing those issues. So let me go back. So this is your hip mobility. Some of you are in that position already. Actually, if you cross your leg up over, guys, girls, parents, that is one of the stretches. And just feel what it feels like. Do left and right. Cross your legs. Everybody, now. And just see, does one side feel easier to cross than the other? What does it feel like? If you can't get your leg parallel to the ground, you probably have a little stiffness issue. That would be helpful to do a stretch like this. Doorway stretch for the hamstrings. Now, all of you that are growing pre-teenage, how much have you grown? Who's growing? Everyone's growing. So did you know that your bones grow faster and it pulls the muscles to become tight? Maybe you didn't know that. So as you're growing, you might notice that I'm not moving as well. I can't bend forward, touch my toes. It's because you're growing, and you absolutely need to stiff or stretch those stiff muscles so that you're not playing in tight blue jeans. You want to play in nice loose soccer shorts, right? So foam rolling, another thing that helps the mobility of the tissues. And I've got a handout for you all to take home so that you can start practicing some flexibility as well. This is the handout that you will all be receiving, and if you want to hand those out, that'd be great. And part of the initial foundation movement mobility is also establishing core strength. And so this activity using a TheraBand, very inexpensive, $5. I've got a program that the players do at the professional level and all the way down to the recreational level. It's just foundational, awesome stuff that everyone will benefit from. The second tier is performance. Then you take that mobility and movement and add performance to it. So you introduce patterns of explosive movement in an effort to get more of that strength, power, speed, coordination, and agility. And then the top tier of that pyramid is skills. Then you take it and put it into sports-specific performance.
Our final speaker of the day is Mr. Orlando Ramirez, who is the head coach of the Clovis Crush women's soccer team. Prior to that, he was a student and soccer player for Roosevelt High School and Fresno Pacific University. While starring at FUP, he became the program's highest draft pick when the San Jose Earthquakes selected him in the 2005 MLS draft. We are thankful for Mr. Ramirez to be here and tell us more about what the journey into college soccer is like. Please join me in welcoming Mr. Orlando.
Good morning, everybody. Again, I want to say thank you to Level Playing Field for having us out, and just kind of cool for me. So just found out, so with Mrs. Buchanan, I was actually a teammate with her husband back in college, and played against him in high school. And also, you know, Jason Gray, I was about this tall, and I got to watch Jason Gray play at Fresno State and play with my father. And so just fun to see the community of soccer here in Fresno and in the Valley that, you know, we're very fortunate to get to share our experience with you and hopefully provide a little insight into just what soccer's done for us and how we can hopefully continue to help grow the game and help you guys see what opportunities the game can provide for you. My role today is to share a little bit with you about how to prepare for playing college soccer. How many of you in here want to play college soccer? I see some of you here. How many of you want to play professional soccer? I know that's a lot of the dream. That was my dream, right? I know some of us still live in the dream, right? Maybe, hopefully being able to get there. That's what I wanted to do when I was young, when I was kindergarten. I wrote in my, you know, what do I want to be when I grow up? I wrote, I want to be a professional soccer player. And my mom kept that for me, reminded me, right? And fortunately for me, I got the opportunity to do that. It was a long road. My path didn't necessarily follow the path that everybody takes to get there. But what we're going to talk a little bit about today is the fact that there is no one right way. Okay, there is no one right way to get to play in college or beyond from there. But some of the things that, at least from my experience, that I can share that I think are some important things. And I think some things that you might already be thinking about what you have to do. Okay, so we're going to start out with kind of two key things to begin. First thing, academics. Second thing is just athletics, right? This actual soccer part of it, right? So those of you that want to play college soccer, right? We got all the youth in the room, right? You're going to school right now, correct? Right? How many, let's see, we got any third graders in the room? Fourth graders? Fifth graders? Sixth graders? Yeah, we got a big group of sixth graders here, all right? Almost getting into junior high. That's a fun age, okay? So most of us know we got to do well in school to be able to continue to participate in soccer, right? And right now it might just be that your parents are saying, hey, you got to make sure that you're doing well enough to be able to play with your club team or your rec team or whichever team that you're playing on, right? As you continue to get older, when you get to the high school level, then there's minimum requirements for you to be able to participate, right? So anybody know the GPA? I know in elementary school, GPA is not really the biggest thing. But does anybody know the GPA that you have to have typically to participate in athletics as you get older? Any guesses? What do you think? 2.0. That means grades got to be either A's, B's, or C's, right? All C's will get you 2.0, right? Bare minimum, okay? That stays true all the way throughout. So once you get to college, you have to keep a 2.0 minimum in order to participate, right? Question, and it's going to lead into kind of the different levels a little bit of college, because I know some of us might not necessarily know, all the opportunities that are out there, right? Do you have to get good grades to get into college? What do you think? I see a lot of nods, right? A lot of nods. The answer to that question is yes and no. Yes and no, and here's why. Okay, there's a lot of different levels of college that you can go to. Okay, so I am the head women's soccer coach at Clovis Community College. We're a new school. As a college, we've only been around for 5 years. Our women's soccer program we're starting our 4th year as a women's soccer program. And at the community college level, they will accept anybody that has completed their high school degree, right? Even some high schoolers can take classes at the community college level, right? But they will accept anybody no matter what grades you got, right? You can come in and kind of fresh start for you to be able to have an opportunity. Doesn't mean that everybody that goes to community college is struggling with grades. We have honor students, we have straight A students, and students that are going to really high levels transferring after the community college experience there too. But for some people, that may be school's hard for them, right? Sometimes a community college level is the best environment for them to go to, right? And we have 2 state champion teams here in the area, Fresno City Women's Soccer, Fresno City Men's Soccer, won state championships 2 years ago, right? Clovis Community College, men's soccer, women's soccer. We have Reedley College, women's soccer so far, and even outside of this area with West Hills and COS. And so we got plenty of community college opportunities in the area for people of all levels, right? Academically and playing-wise, that want to continue their college career, okay? The perception, which I know for a lot of us, is the highest level of college, which, does anybody know what the highest level of college that you could play at? NCAA, first division, Division I, okay? Now, NCAA has 3 divisions that you can play at, okay? We have Division I, II, and III, all right? There's also a division called NAIA, which is totally separate, right? And it's an association made up mostly of smaller private schools all across the country. You have 5 different levels of soccer at the college level that you can play at, right? Which is awesome, especially here in this area, right? So we have the community colleges. We have Fresno Pacific University. Used to be NAIA, now they're NCAA Division II, all right? And we have Fresno State women's soccer, unfortunately not men's soccer anymore, and hopefully here in the future we can continue to push for them to get it back, right? But there's plenty of opportunities for you to play college soccer. Now, at the other levels, NAIA, NCAA, you do need certain admission requirements, so your grades have to be at a certain level, right? And so that's something that as a youth, as you guys are thinking about that, where sometimes soccer is everything, right? I love soccer. Soccer is my life. I cannot imagine living without soccer, right? That academic part of it is still so, so important, and we'll talk a little bit about that more later. So second thing, your athletics and your soccer background, right? A lot of times, or at least at your age, we watch the pros, we try to emulate them, see all the jerseys out there and everybody wanting to play at a really high level, right? And so all the things that they talked about in terms of different levels of soccer, do you have to play comp soccer to make it to college level? What do you think? No, right? No. Does it provide you with more opportunity? Possibly, right? Possibly in terms of the travel, in terms of coaches being able to see you, and maybe the higher quality of coaches based on the licenses they have and their experiences. So yes, but it's not an absolute necessity, right? It does provide a different level of opportunity. But some of the things that we're going to talk about here in a second related to you, I would just encourage you, right? Whatever level you're at, if you aspire to be at the college level, right? Find your strengths. First things first. What do you do well, right? What part of the game do you do well? Are you athletic? Are you technical with the ball at your feet? Do you have good vision? Do you see the field? Are you a good passer, right? Are you a good finisher? Do you like scoring goals? Do you like keeping the other team from scoring goals, right? Do you like being in the goal with the gloves on, which I know, my first year playing soccer, I was in 2nd grade, and second half of every game, they put me in the goal, and that was the last time I ever played goalie in my life because I knew I didn't want to fall on the ground. Right? I didn't like falling. So some people enjoy, certain elements of the game. Find what those strengths are for you, right? Figure out what part of soccer do you like, right? And that's a huge thing at your age now, speaking to the kids, right? To make sure that as you continue to grow, you enjoy it, right? You love it, and it's fun for you. It's important. A lot of people that play soccer at a young age decide not to play anymore, right? They have other opportunities, but it becomes something not quite as fun for them, and we want to keep that joy, right? We want to keep that joy, that fun part of the game for you to continue, because if you aspire to go to the college level, it's a big commitment. It's a big commitment, time commitment, right? Effort to balance your school and soccer and traveling. Our team, we had our first game last night. Right? Traveling on the road, 3 hours. Some of the girls are doing homework on the bus, right? As we're going, right? And it's the first week of school for us, right? So they're getting used to all their new classes, and it can be stressful sometimes. It's a busy lifestyle, but at the same time, it's an amazing privilege, right? To be able to have that opportunity. It's a lot of fun. Okay. Those things that maybe you don't do so well. Right? So kiddos, right? That you know that, man, I struggle with this. Maybe, do we have any lefties in the room? Any lefties, right? A couple of you, right? So most of us are not left-footed, right? Working on that left foot a little bit. It's hard, right? So just chip away at those things. Continue working on those. So do what you do well, right? And then the little things that you know can make you a more well-rounded player, right? That's what at the college level we're looking for. Players that can be adaptable. Players that can play multiple positions. So if you're at your team right now and your coach, you're forward, you like scoring goals, coach says, hey, maybe, can you move back to the defense for me? Like, coach, I can't do that, right? I don't know how to play defense, right? Or I don't want to play defense, right? The more you can be adaptable, the more you can be flexible and be willing to try new things, be willing to take whatever you know about soccer and do it well, no matter where you are on the field. A coach, as you get older, is going to see that. Right? They're going to appreciate that. And many times when you get to the college level, sometimes positions change, right? I started as a forward, love scoring goals. And over my career, I started going farther back on the field. So then I went from a forward to an attacking midfield. And then I went from attacking midfield when I made it to the Earthquakes. They played me as an outside midfield. Never played that position in my life, played outside midfield. And then when I came back to the Fuego, because I played with the Fuego for a while, I played holding midfielder, defensive mid, like Jason Gray, all right? Never played the position before. I said, Coach, okay, what do you want me to do? How can I adapt? How can I take the things that I've learned and try to apply it in a new way, right? And that's really, really important for all of you to be open, right? Open-minded to what your coaches have to say and trying new things, okay? So that's something too. One last thing here with this first part, and then we're going to wrap things up. But scholarships is a big, big deal, right? And I know at a young age, there's a lot of importance that's placed on getting college scholarships. And now the statistics and just what we know is that really the amount of scholarships that we think are out there are not the same as what really is available, especially full ride scholarships. We hear about people getting full rides all the time, and full rides can mean a lot of different things, right? Most of the time, most schools won't give a player 100% all athletic scholarship money, right? And that's a common misperception, right? Now, full ride can mean they get some athletic money, so you might get some money because you're a good soccer player. And then because you've done so well in school, maybe they'll give you some money because of your academics, right? And they'll help cover maybe you living on campus a little bit and cover your meals. So there's multiple ways that colleges can provide those scholarships. Are there scholarships at the community college level? Nod your head yes or no. What do you think? At the community college level? The answer is yes. Are there athletic scholarships? Not really, right? You can get scholarships in California. We are Division III community colleges. There are no athletic scholarships, and part of it is because the tuition is so cheap, right? Tuition is so cheap for community colleges, which is a big benefit for it. But you can get scholarships. You can't get the money for the scholarship until after you leave community college. Right? So that's something just to be thinking about. But scholarships at all the other levels, you can get athletic and academic scholarships. You can get financial aid, which means based on, your need and your academics too, you can get some money to help. But there really isn't, if you're going to go to a community college, I can't say, hey, I'm going to offer you a full ride to come to community college. Doesn't work that way, okay? Those are just a couple things, right? Academics is important, right? The way you are in terms of your attention to detail and your discipline on the field and being a good soccer player, obviously that's huge, all right? But we're going to talk about a couple last things here for you that for me and now and talking with a lot of other college coaches has really become more important in some ways than those initial things, and it's who you are. Who are you as a person? Me as a coach, as I'm going out and recruiting, yes, I want to see a soccer player that catches my interest, somebody that plays the style of soccer that I like to play, somebody that I can see can make a difference. But more than anything, after the game, after I go talk with that player, I'm going to the coach and I'm saying, hey, coach, tell me about this player. Tell me about this player. Tell me about how they are when things don't go well for them. How do they react when things are hard? What kind of student are they? What kind of teammate are they? Do they get along well with their teammates, right? And so more and more, we are concerned and find the value in the whole person, right? The whole player, right? So I got some things to kind of, both for the athletes in the room and for the parents to kind of think about here as we finish up, okay? In today's day and age, our culture, right? We value speed, everything fast, right? Everything fast. We got the microwaves, and we got people delivering stuff to our own door more now than ever, and everything's got to be so quick. The internet speed, if it's too slow, then we get frustrated, and all those kinds of things, right? So naturally, we think slow is bad. Anything slow is not good, right? It's got to be fast, okay? We have convenience. Everything needs to be convenient for us. So anything that's hard is bad, right? Anything that's uncomfortable is bad. We love our entertainment. So many ways to be entertained with the phones and the tablets and Netflix and all the different things that we got. So anything that's boring is bad. My son all the time, that's boring. That's boring. I don't want to do it, right? The way we're nurtured, right? So much nurture that's going into our kids, which is not a bad thing, but inherently taking risks now is bad, right? We don't want to take risks. We want to do it safe all the time. And then lastly, the entitlement, right? That we deserve certain things means that now hard work, we don't need to work hard. We don't need to work hard. Now again, that's a general kind of ways in which now things that are happening within our culture is teaching us, right? And so what's kind of crazy about that, and maybe this is more for the parents here, right? And think about, like, if I was to ask most of you that are in your careers, that have your jobs and everything, like, did it take time? Probably yes, right? Was it hard work? Definitely, right? Sometimes maybe we love our job, but it's kind of the same thing all the time. We got to do kind of the same thing. Sometimes it's boring. It's reality, right? Maybe we had to take a few risks to get to where we are, and we had to, again, work hard and invest time into it, right? So all of those things are still important, even though our culture is teaching us that they're not, or maybe just inherently that they're not. And so, I mean, think about, look, I got the little, it's not a hydro flask, right? But it's, the way I drink my water, right? Okay? 10 years ago, we didn't have those. But I still needed to drink water. We had little water bottles, right? 100 years ago, we still needed water. We didn't have those. The water is still, we know how important water is to us, right? We need it to live, to survive. All those values, right, of working hard, of being patient, right, of connecting with others and making sure that we're taking risks and putting ourselves out there and taking chances, those are still important, even though maybe our kids are not getting them and being taught those things as much. We still need to teach them those things. Naturally, as a coach, my dad was my coach all growing up, and a lot of us tend to coach the way we were coached, right? But now our kids are living in a different age, right? Different things that they're experiencing, and so we need to be able to adapt. Not that we don't teach them these things are important, but we need to teach them maybe in a different way and find ways to make sure that they still understand the value of those things. All right? Kiddos, right? Players, those things are important. Working hard, right? Again, taking some risks on the field, right? Taking some risks on the field, trying some things, making some mistakes, and then knowing that it's okay, you're going to have another opportunity, right? We say a lot of times, you got to have short memories. Short memories. You forget, you forget the thing that just happened, you keep moving on, you're going to get another opportunity, right? It's important, okay? So think about that. Last thing, there was an image that I want to put up on the screen for you guys here, okay? What do you guys see on the left? What is that? It's a thermometer, right? But what's this on the right? So the air conditioner, right? But the technical, it helps control the air. It's called a thermostat, okay? So you got a thermometer on the left, you got a thermostat on the right, okay? What does a thermometer do? Let's get the tracks how hot it is. What were you going to say? Measures the temperature. So if the temperature is hot, it goes up, right? If it's cold, it goes down. And pretty much whatever the temperature is, it changes constantly based on what that is, right? What does the thermostat do? What does it do? I like that word. It regulates the temperature. It sets the temperature, right? It sets the temperature, and then the whole entire room changes because of what that thermostat did, right? So here's what I want you to think about. Last thing I'm going to leave with you, right? And this is for everybody in the room. This is a good one. It's kind of stuck with me ever since I had this, this image. I'm never going to look at a thermometer and a thermostat the same way, okay? Are you a thermometer or a thermostat? Okay? Now you might be thinking, what are you talking about, Coach? Right? What are you talking about? What does that mean? Are you a thermometer or a thermostat? So think about the thermometer. Are you somebody that, depending on what the circumstances are around you, is constantly changing your attitude, constantly reflecting what others are doing and how they're responding to things, and easily influenced by others around? Or are you a thermostat? Are you somebody that's setting the tone? Are you somebody that is helping to regulate the environment around you? So within a team concept, right, playing on the team, are you somebody that's helping to influence others in a positive way, right? Are you somebody who, when you come to practice, if things aren't going well, you let everybody know that they're not going well, right? I mean, a thermometer. So if good days are good, then you're up. If it's a bad day, then you're down and not able to really regulate how you are helping, okay? And that's something that, again, as a coach, when I'm looking, kind of wrap things up, preparing for a college career, we're looking for players that are able to be thermostats, that are able to come in and help influence in a positive way. Not only work hard, be good in the classroom, be good soccer players, like those things are important, right? But I will take somebody maybe a little less talented, but is more willing to come in and help bring the group together rather than constantly changing and creating an environment that is not a positive environment and not something that is working to really set the group on the right track. I think that's something really, really important that you guys can be thinking about is, who are you? What kind of values do you have? Because again, in order to be a thermostat, to be able to set the tone, you got to know what you believe in, you got to know what things are important to you, and that's where the kind of thinking about, are you working hard, right? Are you taking your risks? Are you bringing people together, right? Are you patient with others, right? With yourself, too. Those are all important things that when things get hard, can you lean on and know that, hey, we're all working for the same goal. We want the best, right? I want the best for me. I want the best for others. And hopefully you can be an influencer in that positive way than one that's so easily influenced by others. So appreciate you guys listening. Hopefully that was insightful, at least, again, to know there's so many different things that go into it, right? But more than anything, who you are as a person, right? Combined with the kind of player and the kind of student you are, all three of those things are super important. We didn't really talk about how to get recruited and those kinds of things. And at your age, that'll continue to come, right? Based on your environment and all those kinds of things. But I think, those are the base right now. If you can get started with the things that we talked about, then once those opportunities start to provide themselves or come for you, coaches start talking to you, talk to your coaches, you're going to be that much more prepared to come in and be successful in college and have a great opportunity to further your career. So thank you very much for letting me share. And